When we buy software from other vendors, either commercial software off the shelf, or we hire them to custom build software for us, we need to ensure that it is as secure as our organization needs it to be. Since we do our due diligence and our due care, we do not just accept the vendor statement of how secure their software is. A lot of the times that's just marketing claims and the software actually isn't that secure. So we have to do the proper testing on the software, and if we do not have someone in-house who can do it, we can get outside counsel. In many places I have worked, we normally get software when someone on a C-level goes to a trade show or a conference and they get sold some solution that they think is the best thing ever. Most of the time, the software is not something the organization needs, and we have no clue if it's secure at all. Whenever we get software like that, it's going to be cost prohibitive, it's going to cost a lot more than it should, it's not really going to fix the problem we have, and most of them only last a couple of years because we realize this is just a waste of time doing it this way. So both with software development and where we just go out and buy it, we need to go through the proper project planning. We have to do that clear analysis that tells us exactly what the problem we are trying to fix is, the workflows that those departments have, and then we'll go out and solicit vendors and see if anyone has a solution that can do what we need. What are the must-haves? What are the nice-to-haves? We do vendor interviews. We figure out what their software can do out of the 50 things we need it to. And then we score them, and the vendor that has the highest score, that meets all of our must-haves, or at least a very high percentage of them, probably should get the contract. I'm sorry about that rant. As you can tell, this is a problem I've had in my professional career, where we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars implementing the wrong solution that we then trash a couple of years later. Managing projects, building software, doing IT security, all of them have the same thing in common. We build, buy, and implement exactly the right solution, exactly enough security, no more, no less, just enough. With COTS software or commercial off-the-shelf software, we can, depending on how popular the software is, go look at reviews. Go look at user experiences of someone who has installed the software, who is using it on a regular basis. What does it do for them? Are they happy with it? We can get a clearer understanding of what the software can do and how the security is designed into it. And many COTS softwares have a roadmap, meaning they have a long list of features and capabilities that's going to be designed into the software at a later point. So maybe in Q4 of 2020, this feature is going to be available. And all of that is excellent. But we do not buy software based on how good it's going to be in the future. You have to focus on what it can do now. Is that what we need? If it is not what we need, then we move on. And if we can't find anything that does what we want, but one of the candidate softwares is able to do it in a year maybe, then we wait. We sit tight and we wait until that feature is available. It has been thoroughly tested by actual users who have implemented it, and then we can go through analysis again. Not only do we need to ensure that the software does what it says it does, but our requirements might have changed. So we do the analysis again, and if everything is happy, then we go with the software. We've talked about requirements traceability matrices before. I'm just going to touch on them briefly again. That's a long list of requirements we have for the software. Must have, nice to have, should have maybe. I've mostly seen them just as giant Excel spreadsheets. These are the 50 things that this software has to be able to do. These are the 25 that it would be nice if it can do, but it's not a deal breaker. And then the rest of it is, well, if you can do this, that's excellent, but it's not going to sway us very much in either direction. And then once we have the top candidates, let's say we have one that's 97% match, we have one that's 95, and we have one that's 93% match. We also need to take into consideration how much does this software cost up front, and how much is the cost of the annual maintenance. In the example we had in Domain 1, where we looked at risk analysis and full disk encryption, we had a cost for the software, and then we had the annual subscription fees for the software, and then finally we had to hire more staff to maintain the software. We need to figure out what the full cost of implementing the software is. If, for instance, the software that scored 97% is going to cost us $10 million over 4 years, but the 95% software is going to cost us $500,000 over 4 years, maybe we should look at the 95%. Are those 2% of must-haves worth paying the extra $9.5 million for? Some cases there might be. Most cases, I would think not. In one of the software implementations I did at one of the hospitals I worked at, we went through the entire project planning lifecycle exactly like we should. The product we ended up choosing was completely different than what the clinical unit had in mind, and they were extremely excited about it because it could do all these things that they hadn't even thought of it doing. I don't remember the exact numbers. I think the software cut a full day of length of stay for the patients we were discharging to other hospitals or care units. It saved almost 4 hours of phone time for the people that were handling discharges every day. And with this software implementation, we also did the reference checks. So we asked the vendor, could you please provide us with 3 to 5 references from other hospital systems that have implemented your software and that are willing to talk to us? And for that implementation, I think the best software and actually the cheapest one scored, 95%. The second one scored 87, was about 3 times the cost, and the percentages they were missing were some of the big ones that were deal breakers. We did the reference checks, we called all the other hospitals that had it implemented, and most of the ones for the 87% software said, don't get it. It's just not developed enough yet. It might be great software in 2 years. So we do our due diligence and we do our due care. And then finally, we should also keep an eye on how financially viable is the software vendor. One of my friends implemented a phone system in an entire organization. I think they spent $2-3 million on it. And within 3 months of them implementing it, the vendor went bankrupt. They can never get parts. They can never get hardware. They don't get any software supports. They basically had to tear the whole thing out and start over. So really, we need to check if they are financially viable, and do we think they will still be in business in 2 or 3 or 5 years or however long we plan to use the software. If we want something very specific, something that's not in the marketplace, we might get custom-developed third-party products. That's us paying someone else to develop an application for us that does exactly what we need it to. This is obviously way more expensive than you buying something that's already developed, but it is also a lot more customizable. Here we should ask the same questions. How good are they? Have they done this before? How secure are they? And who owns the code? We need to figure out, are we okay with them owning the code, or do we want to own it? If they own it, what happens when they go out of business? And who's going to support the code? Who's going to do the patches, the security updates, the feature updates, whatever we need changed in the software? Who's going to do that? Are they purely software builders? Do they not support software at all? Do we have someone in-house that can do it? These are all considerations that we need to go through before we choose to outsource it to someone else. So in many cases, this can produce much better software. It can produce software where we get exactly what we need, maybe at a reasonable price, maybe not. We need to understand who they are, what they do, how good they are at what they do. Do they have references? We do the same thing we would do with a regular software company. And we make sure the reference is not their mom. And this rounds out software vulnerabilities and attacks. Let's move on.